Welcome back. Now it's time to take a look at the latest numbers, and Charles Tarbey's right with us to give us the latest stats.
Yes.
Auction clearance rates, what's happening?
Yes, lower than this time last year. So there you go. We're now finally catching up. Yeah, 64.5% on a national basis. Last year was a massive 64.6. There you go. And interestingly enough, Adelaide achieved the 64.6 itself from this time last year. It was one of the best performers. It outperformed Melbourne, which came in at 63%. And Adelaide has been steadily increasing its auction clearance rates for a while. So no boom still, 71.3% for Sydney. So across the board, 64.5%.
Does this change with things like, we talked about Anzac Day and Good Friday, that suddenly they're kind of pushed before or afterwards?
It's been in the 60s for the last 8 weeks, you know, and it's something that we've been looking at really closely. Melbourne has been sitting in the 60s, high 60s, very rarely touched into the 70s, and Sydney very rarely in the high 70s. So it's been like this, mainly because you've got the properties that are coming on the market, not that there's a lot more, but what is coming on the market is coming at a much higher price.
And that's what we're kind of jumping to now. So what is coming on?
Yeah, well, you had a negative of 2.01% of stock coming in. New Zealand's the same. They've had a 0.7% in terms of stock from this time over last week, but also new stock coming on has dropped significantly. So there is that, but you don't have the flurry of buyers, and you have properties at a higher price, and we're back to negotiating, and that's where it should be. It's exactly where it should be.
And yeah, that's just coming up. So, I mean, we can see from the graph then it's suddenly quite a change, isn't it?
Look, I know I've said this before on the show, but to me there are only two types of markets. One where you get the buyer up to meet the seller's ridiculously high price, and that's called a boom. And the other where you get the seller down to meet the purchaser's ridiculously low offer, and that's called real estate.
Actually, very quickly, we'll go through the rent price.
Yep, Sydney, 11.14, still increased, sitting in that level area. Victoria, 7.43, and in Perth, 18.69, giving us a total of just over 12 in the mid-12s.
And then just the vacancy as well.
Again, they haven't changed much, 2.71 in Sydney, 3.98 in Melbourne, and 3.86 in Perth.
Wonderful. So the market's still there.
Market's still there. Still nice and steady.
Well, thanks for joining me again.
Thanks,
and
Chris.
Thank you for Tom as well for joining us back here. Thanks for joining us on the show. We'll be back again next